I ended up like dislocating my pinky. It's like super swollen right now.
What happened?
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it was just like up on top. Like this part right here was up on top. And then you just have to like pull. You have to pull and the ligaments like pull itself back down.
Oh. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ekeler's Edge. I'm Liz Loza, and this is, of course, Chargers running back, fantasy football superstar, and Hot Cheetos stan, Austin Ekeler.
Love me some hot Cheetos, but yeah, welcome back to another great episode.
Yeah, we got a great show for you. We'll preview the Chargers matchup with the Vikings, play a little game of fantasy pop or drop, and hand out our Midseason Awards.
Let's do it.
Austin, your Chargers ended a two-game slide with a hard-fought 27-24 victory over the Eagles in Philly. The win moved you guys back into first place in the tight AFC West. So what stood out to you from the victory?
That's the first time I ever played in, the Eagles Stadium. And if you know anything about Philly, man, they got some dedicated fans out there. They're not quiet. You're rolling in on the buses. There's a lot of, things being said, a lot of signals being shown to you. But I like it, I like it. The hostility, okay. Like, we're coming in, all of us versus all these people. Definitely was a hard-fought win, came all the way down to the last few seconds. That's the NFL nowadays. The NFL is close games. And, when you're able to come up on top, it's usually because you're the most consistent.
Well, last week you predicted over 100 total yards and a score for yourself, and you felt, just a little bit short. 82 scrimmage yards, no touchdown. How would you grade your performance?
Last time I ever give myself a prediction, tell you that. But it was a battle up there up front. I ended up like dislocating my pinky. It's like super swollen right now.
What happened?
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it was just like up on top. Like this part right here was up on top. And then you just have to like pull. You have to pull and the ligaments like pull itself back down.
Oh.
So as far as my performance, I felt like I would give myself a B. I feel like I did solid. We had a couple red zone opportunities, but it was just straight carnage. It couldn't end up getting in. Just bodies everywhere on the ground in front of me, just running into a pile. Sometimes, you just got to get back to the line of scrimmage. But would like to see myself just capitalize on a few more runs that I had in there, just making a guy miss here and there, which can spring me to that 100-yard game that I was looking for. But another opportunity coming up this week against the Vikings. So we'll see if we can get it done this week.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it. This Sunday, you host the 3-5 Vikings at SoFi. They've been extremely generous to opposing wide receivers. So do you think that could lead to a big day for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who, if we're being honest, has been a little quiet since like week 6?
Hey, I think you could throw Austin Ekeler in there as well. If we're saying receivers, hey, that just means catching the ball, right?
Is Jay Herb clearing 300 passing yards?
Hey, I'm saying Jay Herb, even against the good pass rush, is going to have a 300-yard passing game.
That's all I want to hear, Austin. Let's move on.
You're efficient for that, huh?
All right, let's kick things off with one of, I think, the most underrated wide receivers in the league, Tim Patrick. He found the end zone last week versus Dallas, even with Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy on the field. He draws the Eagles. So do you think he pops, or does he have to be dropped?
Yeah, Tim Patrick, he's a big body, which, down in the red zone is going to be an advantage. He just hasn't been getting a lot of love, he's been getting, a few targets here and there, and he's been making the most out of them. You can see from his yards per carry and obviously getting in the end zone. But I think versus the Eagles, knowing from experience from last week, look, down in the red zone, it's hard to run it in against these guys. And so I think that's going to open up some opportunities for Tim to, get some red zone passes thrown to him. Obviously 6'4", go up, get some fades, do some crossers. So I'm going to say pop.
Last week, Noah Fant wasn't available for the team. He was on the COVID list. He's expected back this week, and Philly is allowing the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. So I think ultimately the situation in Denver is that you've got Courtland Sutton, you've got Jerry Jeudy back and healthy now, you've got Tim Patrick, you've got Noah Fant, you've got these two great pass-catching running backs, but you don't have a high-volume passing offense. You don't have Teddy Bridgewater clearing 40 pass attempts every week. And so one of these guys, or two of these guys even, can be left out in the cold. And because of the depth chart, I think that's going to be Tim Patrick more often than not. So I'm going to give him a drop.
All right, we shall see. I'm saying my man finds the end zone. He can give himself, 12, 13 points this week, maybe a couple catches. So we'll see. We'll see.
That take is hotter than the bag of Cheetos you ate before the show. Next up is Jets rookie receiver Elijah Moore. This is a player that was highly touted coming out of Ole Miss. But he was a bit buried on the depth chart in New York over the past 2 weeks. However, he's been more involved. In fact, he found the end zone twice in Week 9 at Indy. In Week 10, he draws Buffalo's top-rated defense. So are we popping or dropping with the rookie Moore?
The Jets, I'm not really sure what's going on as far as quarterback situation over there, but hey, they're making it work. They're still putting up some yardage. They're still putting up some points. And then Elijah, he's been up and down. He's had a great game last game, obviously, but coming into this week against the Bills, I just don't see it happening. So I'm going to say drop.
I mean, I just feel like Moore adds so much explosiveness
You're
to
gonna say
this
pop?
offense. Hold up, it's a bit of an asterisk. I'm so good after the catch. This kid is got 98th percentile agility. I mean, Jamison Crowder is a fantastic slot receiver, but Moore just adds a little bit of this extra oomph. And what are the Jets doing? If they're not trying to see what they can get out of Moore at this point, I may not play him in Week 10, but I am not dropping him because I think given the schedule and his talent and the way this team is going, he is going to pop more and more, even if it isn't this Sunday.
I agree with down the road. I'm saying this game against the Bills.
Finally, let's talk Julio Jones. Tennessee is paying him a base salary of $11.5 million for this year and again in 2022. But he hasn't been able to get on the field much this season because of a lingering hamstring issue. Obviously, fantasy managers aren't as locked in as the Titans, so should they drop him before Week 10 versus the Saints, or is it just a matter of time before he pops?
We're all looking for that, signature Julio Jones game where he's, running by people, stiff arming people, but you just haven't seen it. You haven't seen it in the past couple of years. And like you said, the hamstring, that's something that I can relate to. And if your hamstring is bothering you, you feel like you're a different person. What you used to be able to do, you feel like you're so limited. And he's been dealing with this thing for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So that's even more significant than my, 2-month, outing. One of the legends, want to see continue to be great. But just as far as right now with his hamstring, this week versus the Saints, I'm going to be putting Julio on the bench.
But you're not dropping him?
No, not dropping him.
I don't like the matchup for him. I do think that the hamstring issue is clearly lingering, and even though Derrick Henry is not a part of this Titans offense, as we talked about last week, Tennessee is still finding a way to stay with the run. I mean, Donta Foreman looked pretty good. AP was back, carried the ball, double-digit carries. I think they're going to try to maintain the same identity, and I'm just not sure there's going to be enough passing opportunities here for Julio, especially if he's not as electric as we anticipate him to be. All right, Austin, it's tough to call an exact midway point to a 17-game season with buys, but this week we're going to hand out some Midseason Awards anyway.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Let's see what we got.
Let's start with the player who has earned the title of Best Draft Value. He was drafted as the RB38, but now ranks as the RB8 overall. He leads the league in total touchdowns with 11. 10 of those have come on the ground. It's the Cardinals' James Conner.
Yeah, this man has definitely jumped his value up, man. Wow. James Conner came in and produced and has been consistent. They're using him down in the red zone, which has been advantageous for him and his fantasy owners, but he has definitely jumped. I'm really happy for this guy, and he definitely deserves that award.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to be attached to such an explosive offense that regularly puts their playmakers into scoring position, and so he's found the goal line these 11 times. That is a lesson for fantasy managers. You always want a running back that's attached to a pretty good quarterback and a lit offense, right?
No doubt.
Moving on to the next award, this is for the best waiver wire ad, and this guy is on his 5th team in his 9th season. We underestimated his long-term impact on a previous episode. No one knows whether to call him a running back or a wide receiver, but he is top 7 at both positions. The Falcons, Cordarrelle Patterson.
This man can literally do it all. The Falcons have found a way to hey, how do we get this man the ball so he can be effective? Because we know he can run hard. And from your runners, what do you want? You want them to run hard. Well, that's all this man knows. So yeah, we definitely owe this man, an apology. Because I do anyway. Because I said, no, I don't think he was going to be able to hold it. And he's proved, and I'm actually glad that he proved me wrong because I love to see offensive players pop off. He has been consistent and just producing. good for him.
The reps that he's taken at all of those different positions have put him in a position now to succeed, especially as Calvin Ridley steps away from the team. And one of the things he said that I absolutely love, especially being raised by a single mom myself, he said, if my mom can work 3 jobs, then I can play 3 positions. And I thought that was just incredible. I love this kid's story as well. Our final award is for the most improved, and we once again stay in the backfield for this one. A season ago, this guy was the RB 50. Through 9 weeks this season, he is the RB 14 overall. It's the Patriots' Damian Harris, a player we were both high on, frankly, to start the season.
Yeah, with Damian Harris' situation, James White going down, Sony Michel being traded, there's been an opportunity that's been presented to him. And actually, this maybe reminded me of my opportunity. One time we were at a joint practice, and Todd Gurley came up to me. It was the year Melvin Gordon was holding out. He's like, hey, man, you don't get opportunities like this very often. Make sure you take advantage. I mean, I think that's, the same situation Damian was in. It's like, hey, you have an opportunity to show if you can be the starter. And, man, this guy has been running so hard. I like watching him run down in the red zone because he gets in the end zone. So I'm happy for the guy.
That's an awesome story. It gave me chills. And I think Harris and Patterson and Connor, all of the players we discussed, the thing that they were able to do was keep grinding so that when they had the chance to get after it, they could prove themselves. That's going to do it for this edition of Ekeler's Edge. Austin, good luck this week versus the Vikings. You know that me and this whole crew and all your fantasy managers are obviously going to be cheering you on.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to this matchup. Always nice to be back in SoFi Stadium. I love that place. And good luck to everyone else in the fantasy world, especially if you have me on your team. Let's get out there. Let's get another win. But good luck, everyone.